Hello, everyone. It's Shooter. Welcome to Primary Waves. Of course, at the end of our presentation, please review our disclosures. Okay, starting off with Nvidia today. We put in a short call on this around 492. Overshot that just a little bit, but it is in play. I think we dropped down to about 435 from here. So, if you want to chase that, right at the money puts, either do the monthlies or 2 weeks out and plan on rolling. And of course, I'm going to be repetitive with this going into the first quarter because this is the theme I want to keep. Basically, you're buying weekly calls 2 weeks out at the money strikes. You buy them on money, hold them till Thursday. At noon, you sell them, rinse and repeat to the next Monday, so forth and so on down the line. Or you do the monthlies and you do 2 months out, okay, and you wait till the third week, Thursday, to sell them, rinse and repeat and do it again as long as we're in that downtrend. But I don't think Nvidia takes 2 months for us to get out. I think it's 3-4 weeks and we get down there pretty quick, unless we get some buying volume down here off of this floor. So I think the news, I think we need a catalyst. I think the catalyst is that the government doesn't agree with the new China chip. China is developing a couple things and they're kind of intimidating us a little bit because their tech is, I'm forgetting the name of the chip, but they just developed a new chip that, it's creating a fairly quick architecture for a supercomputer. And the U.S. military is actually interested in that tech because it's so advanced. So, we definitely have a chip war going on with China. So I would not expect that. I would expect them to tighten up the reins a little bit, but that's my thought on that short. Now, AT&T is also a short off of the 17. I'm sort of prepping you for it because if you are holding AT&T, I want you to think about that. We got quite a ways down from that 17 down to 12. So we are going to continue to post that on our short side. PLD, same scenario, except for right there. Maybe covered calls, maybe a few puts. Even though I have my puts notified, over here because it's a longer shot down. But you still could. 112 to 92 is still a nice move. So you could chase both legs to the downside if you wanted to. Paramount, I think a little lower to 506, bounced to 8. And then we put it in our ultimate low somewhere in the teens, in the $1 range. However, we have a nice structure to the RSI here. So drive 1, drive 2, drive 3. So we get back above this 2009 support. The count may flip to the bullish side. But I don't think this one does. I just don't have that inclination. All right, let's take a look at KMI, Kinder Morgan. I think it rolls over, maybe down to about 13.50. Then we get a nice bounce back up to about $30. So good spot to plan on scaling there. Maybe even put some GTC orders in there around 13.75 range if you don't have any common shares in that. And then if it gets filled, great. If not, and they expire, just reissue them. Now, Ford, I think we have a little lower, maybe $8. Then we get a primary wave setup long down. So maybe buy some puts if you're holding common shares or not, at this 4, which is right where we are now. At the money, either do the weekly setup like I spoke about or do the monthly setup. I don't think it's 2 months for Ford to get down there. However, this leg did take 5 weeks, so there would be nothing that would prohibit us from taking 5. All right, American Tower, next entry short is right where we're at, 281. Nice push, though. We get back above this 23.6, I can't really pop the number up, but it's going to be about 210, I guess. We get above 205, 210, then I might change my mind and the count might flip to the bullish side. But I think American Tower has issue with rolling over debt, and I think the market knows. So that's my thought. Now, Vicky, I think it rolls over here, but noting our prior bottom, we flushed, right? Here's a flush, back tested it, bounced, back tested it again, and then we kept going. So we want to watch how it holds. If it gets below that 382 and it stays below it, it's probably definitely going to break down. But we should see a bounce here to about that 4, about 29.08, and then it should be done. So we shouldn't see anything higher than that, I would think. And that would be a good spot to sell covered calls if you're holding, or, maybe even roll into a few puts, to try and insulate that position. Take a look at BRKB. Now last week I suggested that you buy back any covered calls, maybe sell something again up at this 3, around 365, I think it is. I don't think we get back up to 373, 367. Then we're going to have a little dip lower. So just go out, 3, 4, 5 weeks. I wouldn't go any further than that and plan on rolling out of those as soon as you get 30 to 50% on them. And then we obviously can next entry long. I don't really want to chase that with the cycle wave 2. So if you don't have a position, I wouldn't add BRKB here. I'd wait for this 362 back because then we're going to put in our 5 and we should be back above 420. All right, Pfizer. Looks like we might flush a little bit lower here. maybe 27, so then our back test is around 28. So if you're going to chase this, I would do the weeklies 2 weeks out, right at the money. Maybe $30.50 puts would be the best play on that, I think. Okay, TDOC in this flat, doing nothing. Hopefully we get out first quarter, but right now it's just sort of sitting there. Tesla inside week. Still like this. Supposedly we have a strike, Denmark or something like that. I can't remember where now, but the union over there has stopped producing license plates, so they can't deliver the cars because they can't get the license plate. Really? Oh, God, that sounds like America to me. So maybe 329. Let's see how it handles this C spot. It's still a golden child. It's just doesn't have the rotation yet, but we could get rotation next week. And, heck, by the end of the week, we could be back up to our 2021 resistance. Depends on how much FOMO we get in the markets here. The positive outlookers, with the end of the war kind of thing. Russia may be ending the war, and then the ceasefire in Israel, are both positive as the market. Uber, this is Uberstrom. Man, just a beautiful chart. I don't have a position on an Uber. Now I'm looking at this and I'm like, I don't know why I didn't put one on there. I don't think I had an alert on it in the right place anyways. I think I had the alert down here at the speed. That's typically how I do it, because I don't have an alert set on this chart. But hey, maybe we do, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 candles, and then we got a little bit of a flush, and we win. So maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We get a little flush, maybe back to 61.8. Then we go break out all-time highs. So I like it. This is probably my favorite looking chart. So please, somebody chase it off of that 61.8 and brag about it for me. All right. Warner Brothers in this flat. Maybe we get out soon. This just has been extending for a little while. I mean, we could be here. I don't know the micro macro of most of the stocks that I do an analyst on, and I analyze from a technical standpoint. Yeah. And, my coach used to joke around and say he was an angel. That's tongue twister, just slipped out. So hey, all right, maybe 21. I'm going to say third quarter, 2025, 2024. So Blackstone Group, intermediate wave 3, 4, and then we're heading for a 5, which is our primary wave 1 or 9. Looks very constructive with this 50% back. So as long as we stay above the 23.6, I think we're good, and it's a launching pad. And my look, digital real estate, I'm not a believer in real estate right here, but this chart looks good. Maybe 145 for our cycle wave 3, and then we get a decent back test to 131. So whether I put a piece on here or now really depends on how much you're invested. So, if you're not back above 70%, this probably is one that I'd add a little piece and then plan on adding another piece around 131. And that would be a good stock to use a GTC order. Buy a little piece now, wait for a back test, maybe put in some 132s, 131s, 130. Good to cancel orders, so break it up into 3 blocks, and if they don't get filled, rinse and repeat until you get filled, waiting for that back. All right, looking at EPR, in this flat, does look to me like it's going to get out. Nice little flaggy look here, maybe 3 around 61 at some point, second quarter plus next. Now, Freeport, my main play on copper is really going to be February, because, China likes to buy these commodities in large bulk group. They do about every 6 months. Matter of fact, thanks, Teresa, for looking at that for me and getting that data. I was too busy to look, but that was very helpful. So, ultimately, I want to build a position going into the second week of January. So we're not too early here. That's sort of my thought, because I do think we head up. Maybe it's one more rip. Maybe we got to another drive, going into February, and then we go. So that's sort of the thought. Taking a look at Fifth Third Bank. I don't like banks right now, but, hey, it looks much more constructive than it did down here. Chart says maybe 34. All right, looking at Generac. Generac is this counter trend trade. So we're in this ABC pattern, A, B, C. So once we get back up to about this 356, you want to be covering your position. So this may run pretty much all of 24 to get back up. Could even go all the way out to January 25 or first quarter of 2025. Before we get that breakdown. So we get above this breakout line around 145, that's where I get real excited about it. And we could extend, the length of this over here. So, we could really go out to second quarter 24 before we keep going. Looking at Stone, now this is new back this week. Look at a breakout here on this breakout line, just above the 8-day, maybe to 22. Now this is also a counter trend trade, so realize 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 is way the heck down here. So we really need to get above about 44.50 for that count to flip to the north side. Now, again, remember, Elliott Wave is only a measurement of FOMO, the fear of missing out of buyers and sellers, or FOL, the fear of loss. So we can shift. That's why counts flip. We just need to know when we're wrong. So we get above that 44.50, then it's probably going to flip to the north side. All right, looking at Juma Tech, nice little base right at the 50-day. Get above that 50-day. I'm looking at least for 50% back between the 50 and the 200, so about 750. Then we should get a back test, and then we head towards our intermediate wave 1 around 28. But I wouldn't be surprised if this sets down a little bit. 50% back is pretty aggressive. That's a heck of a move measuring this whole leg. I mean, it could. There's nothing that would prohibit it from doing that. NFE, man, we are at the breakout line. We are out, folks. Oh, wow. That took some time, but it was worth waiting. So, our primary wave 3 is way the heck up at 114. So that means we're going to have this kind of leg. This is a shallow. I mean, we could put it in a wedge here. We could put it in a shallow leg down here and then go put it in. Realize the legs extend and the direction can flip based on certain circumstances. But this is a very bullish looking chart to me, at least to like a speed line up here around 58. So I think 58 pretty much is a given. That's sort of my thought. PLTR, I don't like that close on the candle on the low side. So here I added a trend support line right here, which I think it was 23.45. I can't see it on this chart because those labels don't transfer in the photos for whatever reason. They're my alert labels. All right, so maybe we push towards that 30.55, or we could back test that trend support first, but still a very constructive looking chart to the upside. Now, Microsoft, all-time highs, maybe a little back test to 369. Then we head towards 396. Now, at that point, we want to sell some cash secured puts around 410 is my thought. No, excuse me, let me rephrase that. Some covered calls around 410. Clarify that. Covered call. I get tired, I invert things. All right, looking at Amazon, just a little higher to maybe 153, and then that's our cycle wave 3. So covered calls will take partial because that's a fairly decent drawdown to 127. So we want to try and hold gains and then plan on reloading at that 127. And I'll update the labels there with cash secured puts, et cetera, et cetera. I would not buy puts on Amazon because they're way too expensive for how long you carry them out. So even though they do work just as well as most other options, it's just, I don't like putting that much money in that one set of contracts on options. That's above my pay grade. I just have a box I like to stay in. All right, so on Oxy, I think this week with the Israel war in a ceasefire is really going to tell us what oil is going to do. But I also heard rumors that there are some issues with disruptions coming out of the Gaza Strip and natural gas. So that may spook markets still a little bit. So we'll have to see how this week pays, probably the next 2 weeks, and then make a decision on oil longs from there. Now, Disney, very constructive looking chart. Nice back test, though, about $7 off of that 98. So whether you hold through that or not is, of course, going to be your discretion. KKR, really, really probably the third best looking chart that we have. For the upside, target 74 next on our intermediate wave 69. Then we should push up for our primary wave 3 around 77 in the back 10. Shot up. My second best looking chart on the breakout line has 50% back possibility at 110. Target says 122. This is a have to hold. Have to own. Apple heading towards the breakout line. Also, in my opinion, a have to hold because we're looking for 200. So there's 3 back tests to maybe 185, 186, and then we're going to go. So that's my thought. Now, I think this 3 can extend up here. So that's just my thought. This is a very euphoric build off of this with this back test. Very strong look to me to the upside. Probably the 4th best. Google. I still like Google. I think it was way oversold. I think this candle overdid it. What has it done? It's given it back. Already 80% of it. Would have been great if we bought below that. So looking for maybe 157 with a back test 48. Stag in this flat, but looks more constructive this week. Breakout, maybe next week, 2-3 weeks out, going into the Christmas holiday. And then second, third quarter next year, I think we'll hit that 40. Square, I agree with Kirk. Very constructive looking chart, a lot to the upside. Maybe 105 with a back test to 64. Intel, beautiful looking chart. Beautiful. I like the look here, not as much. I mean, it's been really nice off of this base. So once we get above the 61.8, we see what we're going to do on, because we got this back test coming, this 3. So we're at about our 45 now. We're going to put in the 42 and then bounce back up to 46, down 39. So your next entry long is back here around 39. So whether you take partials at 45 and reload is going to be up to you, or you're just going to sell some covered calls there and wait for this to play out. I would sell above the 46 is what I would do. I would sell like 50. That's just my thought to sort of insulate. NTR, we've been here for a little while. I mean, it's just building up this base. We're going to get out at some point. Still structurally looks pretty good. IIPR, same scenario basically, but looks constructive. Okay, that's what we have for this weekend, folks. Great trading. Until next.